The city of Tuscaloosa is receiving another multi-million-dollar federal grant. Find out where it's going next.
More safe regulations. That's what the future holds for abortion clinics across Alabama. I'm Lauren Woods, and I'll have that story straight ahead.
Also, the man accused of a mass shooting in downtown Tuscaloosa is set to stand trial. And an accident along a busy road in Tuscaloosa County backed up traffic for hours. The news at 10 starts now.
From the campus of the University of Alabama, live, local news. From Alabama's home team, this is WVUA News at 10.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Tamika Alexander.
And I'm Daniel Sparkman. Questions of where in the world are two young boys allegedly kidnapped by their parents may now have an answer as a man in Cuba tells CNN he is the father in question.
Now, if that's the case, it may take international cooperation to help with the case. Melissa Rainey has more on what's next for the children, first at 10 tonight.
Two brothers abducted from their grandmother's home in Tampa, Florida, one 2 years old, the other 4, became the subject of an international manhunt. They turned up in Cuba on this 25-foot sailboat with their parents, who lost custody of the boys last year. Now the Cuban government says it will turn the family over to U.S. authorities. The boys' grandmother says their father, Josh Haken, kidnapped the children last week, tying her up in the house and taking off in her car.
911, what is your emergency?
Yes, my son-in-law just kidnapped my two grandchildren. They've been in my state custody.
Authorities had suspected Haken and his wife Sharon escaped with the boys on this sailboat. It was spotted by a CNN reporter Tuesday in a marina in Havana. Government officials have told the sheriff's office in Hillsborough County that they're receiving exceptional cooperation from the Cuban government. The U.S. State Department says it is in contact with local authorities.
Because of privacy reasons, we are unable to provide additional information about this specific family. But what I do want to say more broadly speaking is that one of the department's highest priorities is the welfare of U.S. citizens overseas. And this is particularly true for children who are our most vulnerable citizens.
I'm Melissa Rainey reporting.
The FBI estimates there are about 70 U.S. fugitives in Cuba. Most of them have been there for decades.
On your home team Crime Watch, the suspect in Tuscaloosa's mass shooting is headed to court. The man at the center of the investigation, Nathan Wilkins, is set for trial May 6th. Police say on July 17th last year, Wilkins shot and injured 18 people at the Copper Top Bar in Timerson Square. Earlier that same night, authorities say he shot and wounded a person at a home in Northport. In all, 19 people were shot. Wilkins has pleaded not guilty. He's currently being held in the Tuscaloosa County Jail under a $2 million bond.
If you commute down Highway 69, you may have noticed a traffic light out near Hillcrest High School. That's because late this afternoon, a car crashed into a power line on Bobby Miller Parkway. Alabama State Troopers were on the scene assessing the accident. A representative with the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office says there were multiple injuries and the victims were transported to the hospital. Several Alabama power crews came in to fix the power line. One representative says the job could take up to 3 hours. The cause of the accident is still under investigation.
Just into our newsroom, Alabama Governor Robert Bentley has announced he will seek a second term in office. The 70-year-old Republican governor made the announcement just a little while ago. House Speaker Mike Hubbard says he has no plans to run against Bentley. Bradley Byrne, who finished second to Bentley in the GOP race in 2010, says he hasn't decided what he will do in 2014. Tim James, who finished a close third, says he's not running as of right now, but you never say never in politics. Alabama Republican Party Chairman Bill Armistead says he doesn't expect any serious candidate to challenge Bentley in the Republican primary as long as Bentley's polling numbers remain high. Tuscaloosa city leaders are receiving its second multi-million-dollar federal grant in just as many weeks.
But what will the city do with this housing and urban development money?
WVUA's Travis Leader joins us now in the studio with the latest. And Travis, just how much is the city receiving this time?
Well, it's not as robust as the $44 million they received about 2 weeks ago, but it is another $4.1 million for the city of Tuscaloosa. Now, the city has almost $65 million from HUD, and city leaders say this money will help set the foundations for future development.
We anticipate these funds going toward either housing, economic development, or infrastructure, and so we're just really pleased at what could bring forth out of this additional funding.
And one area of immediate focus is taking advantage of necessary projects. The 12.5% of our city that was destroyed on April 27th, for the most part, had crumbling and failing infrastructure. We have to build that infrastructure back so that then it's opened and ready for development.
And building to the ground level is what some say is the foundation of a renewed city.
Everything that goes underneath before you're actually able to create a new house, to do the infrastructure. It's a lot of planning that goes into creating this new city that's going to come out of it.
City leaders say the underground work is what's needed for a decade of commercial development.
If you want to have the type of development we want to see over the next 5 to 10 years, your stormwater, your water, your sewer has to be ready to meet that demand. $65 million in federal grants does not signify the end, though. Some say there will be desired projects outside of what can be funded.
We know that there's still unmet needs, and part of our process will be looking to HUD and other federal agencies, as well as to the private community, to try to secure additional funds.
Now, Mayor Maddox says he hopes to finalize his spending recommendations later this month. More than $16 million of the grant money has already been allocated to various housing projects.
City engineers are seeking funding to improve one of the main gateways to the University of Alabama. The City Council Projects Committee approved funding for the project's engineering. The plan is to make infrastructure improvements from the Greensboro Avenue intersection and run north to 15th Street. According to City Engineer David Griffith, some of the improvements to 10th Avenue might include sewer improvements, utilities, and even LED lighting. Griffin says these improvements will help make the surrounding properties more attractive.
This is an incentive to bring investors back into the area and show investors that we're interested in reinvesting and rebuilding in this area of the city.
Griffin says the project funding will be aided by federal and state grant money, and he hopes improvements are finished by 2015. The Tuscaloosa Regional Airport Control Tower may stay under the same contract until July. The FAA announced the Tuscaloosa Tower will shut down officially on June 15th. But TDOT Director Tara Tubbs is requesting for the city to extend the contract an additional month, with the city covering the $43,000 cost. Tubbs says she is hoping to discuss long-term options later this month. One of the options would be for city employees to man the tower and offset personnel costs with various airport fees.
More safe regulations. That's what the future holds for abortion clinics across Alabama. Governor Robert Bentley signed the bill into law earlier today, but one local clinic says it's just a tactic to hurt pro-choice advocates. WVUA's Lauren Woods shows us what one clinic thinks about the new law.
Abortion is a woman's choice, says West Alabama Women's Center Executive Director Gloria Gray. But a newly signed law is, in her opinion, an attempt to take that right away.
I'd like to say that the bill is a poorly written piece of legislation that is wasting the taxpayers' money, trying to take away a woman's constitutional right to make a choice.
Governor Robert Bentley signed a bill into law early Tuesday morning, heavily enforcing abortion clinics' regulations. Bentley says this new law will ease his concerns.
Well, I'm concerned about what's going on in the clinics today, and I'm concerned that doctors may come from different states into Alabama and not be qualified to be on a board of a hospital. Not a board, but be on the staff of a hospital.
Governor Bentley says that this new law will provide appropriate standards of care. But West Alabama Women's Center Executive Director Gloria Gray says those standards are already being met.
The areas that is pertaining to the safety issues are already in our existing laws. For example, a physician has to perform the abortion. Well, that's already a requirement.
Other issues, such as doctors with admitting privileges at local hospitals and certain building codes, is outlined in the law as well.
We're not opposed to laws and regulations. We want this to be a safe and healthy procedure for a woman, but our opponents are trying to take away the woman's right to choose.
And their right may soon be harder to come by. Reporting in Tuscaloosa, Lauren Woods, WVUA News.
The law goes into effect on July 1st, and abortion clinics will have 180 days to comply with the new regulations. Gray says they will not go down without a fight. And turning now to your education watch, Tuscaloosa County Schools superintendent search. Today was the first round of interviews for the new superintendent.
A total of 5 people are in the running to become the new leader. Up first was Tuscaloosa County School Deputy Superintendent Dr. Walter Davey. Davey has been working in education for more than 21 years. He has served all but one of those years working various positions with the Tuscaloosa County school system. County board members asked Davey a series of 17 predetermined questions. WVUA asked Davey why he thought he was right for the job. He told us because of his previous knowledge of the school system.
I have had experience at the elementary, middle, and high levels. I've been a central office employee, so I know that aspect and perspective. Worked with a lot of varying different types of schools with different backgrounds in terms of demographic makeup, socioeconomic status. I think I've done a lot of work over the course of my career in areas that are important to moving us forward in education.
Now here's a look at the schedule of interviews for the superintendent position. On Wednesday at 10 a.m., Dr. Elizabeth Swinford. At 3 p.m., Dr. Brenda Rickett. On Thursday at 10 a.m., Dr. Wayne Vickers. And at 3 p.m., Dr. Valia Lee. All interviews will be held in the boardroom of the central office and are open to the public. Officials say they hope to announce the new superintendent by April 25th and have that person start by July 1st. Switching now to weather, let's get a first check on your home team forecast.
Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott joins us now. Richard, it was another really nice day out there across the area.
Yeah, really warm for this time of year, Daniel, to make a good Tuesday night too, by the way. Temps are still mild tonight, 75 in Tuscaloosa. How about that, 74 in Birmingham. Some of the cooler spots over in East Alabama, but even there, not bad for this time of the hour, this time of the night. Satellite and radar composite, only a little bit of cloud cover left tonight. We'll notice mostly dry conditions today, tomorrow as well. 60 starting off tomorrow morning. That bus stop forecast will be a mild start to the day, but when do the storms arrive? Your forecast is coming up.
Thanks, Richard. Now to news happening in the day ahead. Tomorrow is opening day for the new Regents Field in downtown Birmingham, the home to the Birmingham Barons. A ribbon cutting is planned for 4:30 tomorrow afternoon with officials from around the state and the city of Birmingham, including Governor Robert Bentley. WVUA will bring you live coverage tomorrow on the news at 6 and 10. First pitch in the new stadium is set for 7:05 against the Mississippi Braves. And when WVUA News at 10 returns, more threats from North Korea and what the U.S. State Department has to say about them.
Plus, police arrest a man accused of stabbing more than a dozen today on a Texas college campus.
Plus, the Crimson Tide softball team had their hands full tonight with Mississippi Valley State. Sports Director Gary Harris will let us know if the Tide prevailed later in Alabama's home team sports.
And before we go to break, don't forget to follow your home team on Twitter. Follow us for sneak peeks on upcoming shows and projects here at WVUA.